wonderful presenter by the name of Brenda Martinez, and she's with the Metropolitan Water District. So take it away, Brenda.
Thank you, Bridget. I think we have a presentation that's going to be popping up. I don't know if it's going to be coming up from Tara or Bridget. Are you bringing that up, or you want me to bring that up?
Do you have access to bring it up?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Tara has the full deck, but let me see if I can bring it up.
I can share it. Give me one moment.
Okay. So as Tara does that, just want to thank you for registering and taking the time to join us today. So I think this is a great investment in yourself to learn about the water industry and careers in water. So again, my name is Brenda Martinez. I'm the Workforce Development Manager for the Metropolitan Water District. So before I get into the presentation, I do want to ask a question because I want to make this interactive. If you have access to the chat, I want you to go ahead and put in the chat, what type of jobs do you think exist in the water industry? So you can place your answer in the chat. Maybe you don't know, and that's okay. But please type in, I'm not sure, or I don't know. But if you can think of any type, if you have any idea of the type of jobs you think exist in the water industry, it'll be interesting to know what it is that you think exists in this industry, and just put it in the chat for me in there. So we can go to the next slide. And hopefully can see that. Okay, so the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, we are the nation's largest wholesaler of water. So if you see a map there, the map is divided by 26 member agencies or other water agencies. So we service about 90 million people, 5,200 square miles. We're part of 6 counties, which includes Ventura County, LA County, Orange County, Riverside, and San Bernardino and San Diego. And then we're also part of 26 member agencies, which that means other water agencies who purchase the water from us. So what we essentially do is we pump the water in from the Colorado River into Southern California. We have various pumping facilities that go all the way down towards the borderline of Arizona. And then we have facilities all the way up. They can continue into LA County with an office in Sacramento. But as we pump the water in, we also have water treatment plants and facilities, and we clean the water to make sure that it's safe to drink. And then we sell it to other water agencies. So these other 26 member agencies that you see on the map purchase the water from Metropolitan, who then sell it to their residents. So a lot of people, when you're, taking a shower or you're getting a drink of water, you probably don't think about like, where does my water come from, right? Like, how does my water get into these pipes and get into my house? So there's a huge workforce behind that makes that happen. And we're going to go into that a little bit today. So we can go into the next slide. So Metropolitan is strengthened by over 1,900 essential workers, which is a commitment of building a diverse workforce, an inclusive and diverse workforce. And part of this workforce, it varies in what they do in the water industry. So as I mentioned, we have pumping plants, we have water treatment plants. They do a lot of water quality, but there's a lot of administration behind that too. So as you're typing in there about the type of jobs, we just don't have water operator jobs. We do have engineers who are in this space. We have also chemists and biologists who are in this space. We have even divers. We have pilots. We have people in administration that includes human resources, project managers. We have people in finance and accounting. We even have our own design and marketing team, external affairs. We have individuals who are in government. So there's a lot of diversity when it comes to the different type of jobs in the water industry that really makes it happen to deliver your water safely into your home. But a lot of us don't think about it. A lot of us don't think about, number one, where does the water come from? And then number two, what do these kind of jobs look like in the water industry? So they're very diverse, and we are going into what everybody probably has heard about, the silver tsunami. Within the next 10 years, people are going to be retiring. more and more people are going to retire. So we are looking for skilled individuals in all these different type of fields to fill those positions to continue making the water flow and getting into your home. Next slide, please. So this is just an example of the diversity of the type of jobs that I talked about. So as I mentioned, we have engineers, lawyers, biologists, we have accountants, we have people in AIT and also cybersecurity. We even have also real estate representatives. So a lot of these jobs can require a bachelor's degree, like the ones I'm just sampling here. And then there's other jobs that just require a GED or high school diploma. So these can be our security specialists. We also even have cooks in some of our facilities. This can also be our intro positions to like a water quality technician 1 that only just requires like a high school or a GED. So there's a lot of variety in the different types of jobs. But I want to take a minute to introduce you to one of our employees who actually started with Metropolitan as an intern. And I wanted her to kind of give you a little bit of background about how she started and where she's at today at Metropolitan. And that is Joanna. Joanna, are you on?
Yes. Hello. So my name is Joanna Clemens. I actually did begin at Metropolitan as an intern. I'm actually from East LA, and Metropolitan's headquarters are in downtown LA, which was maybe about 3 miles away from my house. And I never knew Metropolitan existed, which is why I'm grateful for, opportunities like this where you bring awareness to the water industry. So I found out about Metropolitan when I was at USC getting my bachelor's through the co-op program. So the co-op program for internships is actually run through Cal Poly Pomona. But that doesn't mean that because you don't go to Cal Poly, you can't apply to it. And that's something that I had, to learn just by exploring. But because of these opportunities, we're making you aware now that that is a possibility for you to begin as an intern, no matter what school you go to. So that's our Cal Poly co-op for engineering. In 2013, I worked here for a year. And then when I graduated, I actually went to go work for a general contractor for a year while Metropolitan processed all the paperwork, right? So you hear about working for a government agency and the process is very transparent. So there is a lot of things that they have to do in the background to be able to hire candidates fairly and everything. So it took about a year for me to become full-time. I actually began here as a construction management assistant engineer. So in construction management, I actually ended up even to go and even deeper, I was in the fabrication inspection team. So what that meant was that I went to the manufacturers that made these valves, that made these pipes, and learned about flanges. So mind you, I'm a civil engineer, and I got into this position and they were inspecting pipes and flanges, and I was like, what is this? I have no idea, but you know what, it's okay because you got hired as an assistant 1. So you got hired because of your degree, because they know that you're willing to learn. So there's a lot of on-the-job learning, so don't be afraid to take a job where you're learning something new. With that being said, I worked in that specific team doing fab inspection for 4 years. I even got the opportunity to go to Japan to inspect one of those valves. So that was really fun and interesting. And after that, Metropolitan offers rotational opportunities. So there was an opportunity to be the conveyance and distribution plant engineer. So that kind of took me from being in the engineering group to the water systems operation group, where I think some of you were talking about the option being like a water treatment distribution, a distribution operator. So I went to that side, kind of being loaned out with engineering. And in WSO, I got to be the C&D engineer and actually see these mechanics and see the people doing the work, what they did. I ended up getting my D3 certification. So if you're familiar with that, that's big in the water industry, having a D3 as an engineer. I took the opportunity, wasn't afraid to learn. And after that rotation was up, it was about 3 years. I learned a lot. I developed projects. So under that, I was kind of a PM, developing projects for our infrastructure needs, and then seeing some of those through from basically design through construction. I did that for 3 years and then came back to construction management. So you always have a chance to go back to your home base, right? So when you take these rotations, you don't lose your job. It's kind of like, you go learn and then you go back and you're kind of exploring what's available at Metropolitan. You see the list here. There's so much to do. And once you're in here, you're not limited. I know a lot of people think like, well, if I go to this agency, I'm going to be stuck being this. And I don't want to be that forever. And you don't have to. I mean, you can be whatever you want at the district and pursue your passion. So after that, when I came back to construction management, they actually put me on a big project. It was a $63 million reliner job called the Second Lower Feeder, PCCP job. So we were all over LA, down on Western, Palos Verdes, all the big areas with high traffic. That was really exciting, working with a bunch of cities, working with other agencies because coordinating projects and actually doing the work. So this involved like a huge 78-inch pipeline that we dug like a 30-foot deep pit to access the pipeline under Western. And I was in charge of coordinating the contractor's work and making sure that the contractor was executing the work per our specifications. I did that for 3 years. And then I actually went to another team called Substructures. So this was, I think, my third jump at Metropolitan of being able to explore. And never did I feel that, hey, I'm burning my bridges. I shouldn't be doing this. What are people going to think about me? Never did I think that. So I went to Substructures, who actually protects our infrastructure from other agencies. So sometimes other agencies do jobs around our pipelines, and we have rules of how close they can be to our pipeline, what they can put on our pipeline, etc. I did that for 6 months, and then my current position came up. And my current position is engineering field administration team manager. So I went from being an intern to an assistant engineer 1, 2, associate, then a team manager. And in my current role as a engineering field administration team manager, I actually manage a team of 5 admin assistants. So you see the diversity in what you're able to do with what you learn by exploring other pathways at Metropolitan. So every move that I made, I say to myself, it was meant to be because it got me here. It gave me all the skills to be the manager of this team that supports the infrastructure reliability section, which is construction management, and infrastructure unit, which is all our surveyors, our GIS mappers, and all of those other teams. So because I had this knowledge from going to other places in the district, I felt like I was a perfect fit for this position, but it's like a full circle thing from being an intern to an engineer to managing admin assistants. And I think it kind of goes through this list of showing you that you can do whatever you want at the district, and there are plenty of pathways for whatever your passion is, and whatever you come in choosing doesn't have to be what you're in forever.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you so much for that insight. So as Joanna said, there's a lot of possibilities and opportunities here in the water industry, and essentially with Metropolitan as well. Let's go to the next slide. So this is just a couple of tips for our employment application and hiring process. I'm not going to go through this because we're going to actually have some questions that I think is going to cover this information. But just one key thing when you're applying for any agency with Metropolitan, like Joanna said, it is a merit-based application process, meaning that you have to meet what is called minimum qualifications. And that is one key thing I can't stress enough when you're applying for a position, to really pay attention to those minimum qualifications to make sure that you meet them. And really, when you're applying for a position, it's kind of like looking for a job in itself, because you really have to tailor your resume to the experience that is related to the position that you're applying for. So don't think that every resume should apply to every single job that you're applying for. You got to pay attention to what the job posting indicates. And if you have that experience, then you want to make sure that it's included in there. And then you meet those minimum qualifications, because recruiters tend to screen your resume based on what you input in there and making sure that it's related to the job. But we'll go more in detail when we get more questions asked, and Joanna will stay on to also help answer any questions when we get into that portion of today's event. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time.
May I get started?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. Thank you, Bridget. So good morning, everyone. I would just like to reiterate, thanking you for taking the time attending this. We're actually very happy to get a chance to speak with you and provide more details, and hopefully it sparks something in you to pursue this industry. But my name is Perchui Gamalian. I work at Las Virgenes Municipal Water District. I'm the HR coordinator here. We actually have on this call with us as well, Caroline Mahoney. She is our current HR intern that we've had for just over 6 months here. So we thought it'd be helpful to have her join, and she can speak a little bit about her internship experience with our organization. But let's go ahead and get started with our slides. Alrighty, so Brenda earlier showed us kind of a map of their district, and I don't know if you noticed, but Las Virgenes was highlighted in that area because we are a partner agency. But our kind of service area is highlighted here. Our headquarters are in Calabasas, and we kind of serve Calabasas and the surrounding area of Aguera Hills, Hidden Hills, Westlake Village, and some unincorporated areas like Chatsworth, and some other areas. Our service area can be challenging. As you can see, a lot of the areas have the word hills in them, and that's very true. We have a very hilly area. We're prone to landslides. We've had 2 major fires come through here. So it's a very challenging area to work in, but it's also very rewarding. We serve a high volume of population in a very large area. So the services we provide potable water, wastewater treatment, recycled water, and biosolids for composting. We have typically 127 full-time budgeted positions, and we have 7 intern/student worker opportunities throughout the divisions within our organization. Next slide, please, Howard. Thank you. So we do offer paid internships and student worker assignments across a few divisions. They're highlighted here: customer service, engineering, facilities, water ops, finance, HR, like I mentioned, Caroline is here. We also offer it in public affairs and resource conservation. Can I take a look at our next slide? I might have Caroline talk. Okay, cool. Caroline, do you want to jump in and kind of give an idea of what your experience has been here at LVMWD with your internship?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started working here around 6 months ago, and it's been a great experience so far. I've learned a lot, definitely. It's been a good introduction to human resources and water in general. I've never really been around this setting before, so it's been great, and I've learned a lot in terms of that. But yeah, the team's wonderful here. Everyone's so kind, and it's been a great experience. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Caroline. And just to give some details, Caroline kind of jumped in, and very early on, she helped us with our employee appreciation event that we hold annually. So that was a cool opportunity for her. She also helped us see our way through open enrollment, which is like a large initiative. And so we had some very large projects come through, and that can happen and tends to happen in an internship in a water agency. We just have so many large projects we work on that as an intern, you actually get to touch on those and kind of leave your fingerprint a little bit as you help whichever division you're interning for to complete their projects. And I also do want to reiterate something that Brenda covered, where you do get kind of an opportunity to experience a lot of different things. For Caroline, HR kind of stays within HR, but our other divisions, typically you can actually bounce around a few of the kind of connecting divisions and learn a lot within the 6 months to a year that you're interning at Las Virgenes, to touch multiple areas and see the bigger picture. How do things tie into each other? How does my work from one division actually relate to another, where they pick it up and continue it on? And so you, as mentioned, you don't have to stay in what you start with, right? A lot of our employees have started here in maybe customer service, and we just had one gentleman move to engineering after he obtained his degree in an OIT. Our water reclamation manager actually started in our lab moved to engineering, and then moved to the manager over water reclamation. So the water industry and public agency sometimes offers these unique opportunities where you do get to bounce around. It's not considered a negative. If anything, it's a bonus for you to gain so much exposure in the organization and to use some of the benefits that are associated with the position, like tuition reimbursement, certification prep reimbursement, certification reimbursement, and professional development opportunities. A lot of those help alleviate the cost on you while allowing you the opportunity to really grow and prime yourself to meet these minimum qualifications that we're talking about to set yourself up for growth. So we too here have our qualifications and application process, which I'm not going to cover because we do have some more thorough questions that we're going to talk about this. But typically the application process, especially for us, is that you do need to actually submit an application. We don't consider a resume the application. So I just want to highlight that a job application is critical and to always ensure that you're including your information there because that is the legal document and where we base your experience on. Okay, next slide, please. And here are some typical links. Our employment site is included here. We have a specific posting for internship/student workers. Okay, I see that question, but I don't know if that's to me specifically. Who can I contact about this student application? Okay, I'll talk about that in a second, but we have our internship student worker job posting, which is open continuously. You can submit an application there at any time and indicate which division or divisions which you'd like to be considered for an internship. We also post on JobSpeaker, Handshake, the Cal Lutheran Job Board, and multiple job boards when we are highlighting an internship and we have like a first review of applications coming up. And the other thing I would like to point out is that there is such a thing as submitting a job interest card. That's not unique to Las Virgenes Municipal Water District. That's kind of for any of these organizations that post to government jobs. If you go to their careers page, you can review the job titles that they have available and actually submit your name and email address to get notified when that job becomes available. And it's almost like a passive way to have them notify you the job is coming up and you can submit your application timely by the deadline. Next slide, but I think that's going to be our last one. Yep. So that covers all of our slides. Orlando, I'm thinking you can contact me if you're specifically talking about Las Virgenes Municipal Water District's student application opportunity, and I think my contact information should be available, but I'll go ahead and pass it on to our next presenter, Monica.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Monica Sider, and I am a Senior Public Affairs Representative with the Water Replenishment District. Next slide, please.
Wait, is this AI? No, can't be.
WRD is a key groundwater management agency serving 43 cities across southern LA County.
Monica, you're
There you go.
Strange. Sorry about that. So WRD is a key groundwater management agency serving 43 cities across southern LA County. Our service area spans 420 square miles, providing safe and reliable water to a little over 4 million people, which represents about 10% of California's population. And groundwater accounts for 50% of the region's demand. And this is our service area. We do have 5 divisions that are governed by 5 directors that are voted by the people. Next slide, please. To replenish this vital resource, we capture stormwater and recycled water, and we direct it to our spreading grounds where it is filtered and stored in aquifers, which is the tiny little spaces between the rocks, gravel, and the sand beneath the surface. Next slide, please. We are a much smaller agency than the 2 that came before me. We only have about 53 employees. But each department does have anywhere between 1 to 3 interns. With that being said, the water industry does offer a wide array of career opportunities for individuals that are interested in making a meaningful impact. And these are just some of the roles that we have available. We have engineers that does require a 4-year degree. We also have hydrogeologists that also requires a 4-year degree. An engineer, I believe, also some positions do require the PE, which is a professional engineering certificate. And for hydrologists, they also have a PG, which is a professional certificate as well. For water operators, they're the ones that make sure that the treatment building is running. That does not require a 4-year degree, but it does require a high school diploma and some titles, I believe, that the young lady from Metropolitan spoke about. And then we also have water advocate, which is our senior government affairs representatives. They go, excuse me, they go out to Sacramento and DC to talk to legislation, to try to talk to Congress people and, just about filing grants and the laws to better provide the water agencies. And then we also have a water educator, which is what I do, public affairs. We do a lot of outreach in the community. We also offer, class visits, field trips, just to educate the public and the future of our water career, of our water, to make sure that all those positions eventually will be filled. Because I believe Brenda did mention, there is this silver tsunami that is approaching where so many people are retiring. We just don't have enough people to replace them. Next slide, please. Sorry, I'm a little sick. WRD offers internships, opportunities, and a variety of job openings throughout the year. So for more information, you can also visit our website, wrd.org/careers. Next slide. You are more than welcome to come to our Groundwater Festival, which is on May 3rd. We do have a lot of these agencies. I believe MWD will be there tabling the event, where you can actually talk to more people and more of the consultants and contractors that we work with that do a lot of the hiring for water agencies. Because we aren't as large as other agencies, we contract for our water operations. Sorry, I'm so sorry. My voice is completely going away. But if you have any other further questions, my email is on there. Feel free to email me anytime. Thank you.
Hey, so welcome everyone. I'm so excited to be here. We're a little bit different than all the other agencies that have been presented, and I'm glad that we get to present the city side of things. So we are part of MWD. We're one of the agencies that represent, and we're one of the smaller agencies. We are about 5.5 square miles, and we're a little known though. We're the city of Beverly Hills. So we are a world-renowned community, and we are known for our very iconic landmarks, our palm trees, but we're also known for our excellent public service. And we're also known for our employees and the crucial role that we hold in the tradition of innovation, professionalism, and dedicated to residents, businesses, and visitors. And joining the Beverly Hills teams means becoming part of a dynamic workforce that values integrity, collaboration, and public service excellence. So I want to talk to you about one specific area. So I'm part of, let me start off with this. My name is Tanya Schwartz, and I am part of the Public Works Department. I have worked for the city for about 19 years now. I have been in 3 different departments. I have been in the IT department. I have worked for the Public Works Department and the Police Department. So I have had a lot of different department experience, and I have to tell you, I've loved all 3 departments, and I love being in Public Works. I'm going to focus today's presentation on the Utilities Department, which is the water area. And I really love water, and the reason why is water is life. We cannot do anything without water, right? Like, we can get off without a lot of things, but without water, we're not going anywhere, folks. And even during the hardest times, if anything, all of our essential workers really the water is what we need. So we just wanted to talk about our utility section. So our utilities includes groundwater maintenance and repair, water quality, water service installation, water conservation, and fire suppression. So the groundwater sub-program operates, we have 4 wells and 1 reverse osmosis treatment plant, while we're adhering to federal and state regulations in order to provide potable water to the community. And Metropolitan Water District subsidizes this water supply. So we get about, I would say, 80% of our water from MWD and 20% from our water wells. Yes, so that's about it. Next slide. So our water distribution system. We are monitoring and inspecting the system. We do maintenance and repair, system upgrades and infrastructure planning, equipment, materials and management, compliance and regulation, training and safety. And on the side, you're going to see the positions that are usually in this area. We have our water systems supervisor, water systems worker, and what we require are the certificates that they have. They don't require like a bachelor's or anything, but we do require that they have water distribution operator certifications. Next slide. For our water treatment area, they do monitoring and inspecting of the systems. They do maintenance and repair, chemical management, sampling and testing, record keeping and reporting, training and safety. And in that area, we have water system supervisors, water operators, and again, the type of certifications we require are water treatment operators, and there are different types of certifications like that. So, and I believe, I'll look into it. I see the questions are coming and I'll address those in the chat later on. Next slide. So the city, we have approximately 11,900 customers and we supply water for all of Beverly Hills, portions of West Hollywood too. Water quality has become a big issue for us, as every other city does too. The city ensures the water meets portable standards by taking 800 weekly samples throughout the distribution system, monitoring and controlling the water movement through the system, and all regular compliance with Environmental Protection Agency and the State Department of Public Health. So one of the things that we're very proud of in saying is, it is, for me, in my opinion, it is a lot safer to drink water from the tap than it is when you're buying bottled water from the store. We have to meet a lot more stringent testing and standards than anything that you buy from the bottles. Those are not as regulated as we are, and we're a lot cheaper. So I'm going to say, please use bottled, please don't do as much bottled water. It's not as great for the environment, and we will test our water against any bottled water any day. And yes, so also we really want to encourage people to really think about careers in water. I think it's maybe not as sexy as most people think it is, but it really is. You are bringing a life source to the community. Without water, we cannot exist. And it's really, it's crazy when you think about it. And when I think of our unsung heroes, I think of the guys who are being called in the middle of the night sometimes when there's a burst in a drain, you know, a big thing. These are our heroes. They come out 1, 2 in the morning and they are there, you know, drilling, doing whatever needs to do to bring water back to the community. And nobody knows what's happening because they are there doing what they need to do and they get that job done. They make sure that every member has water in our community. They are the ones who are testing the water to make sure that everybody who gets water out in the community, it is good to drink and that it's good. So this could be you folks. This is the jobs that you could be doing that could really help the community more than you could ever know. So I really encourage for you, whether it's with the city of Beverly Hills, whether it's with the water agency, to think about it. And I know people think that mostly it's for men. We have a lot of women who work in it as well. So please, this is not gender specific. It's for anyone who's interested, and it's so diverse in all the different types of jobs that could be in it. I do not think that AI will replace these jobs, because unless AI can get out there in the middle of the night and replace a water pipe, I don't see how it could happen. I could be wrong. Yes, next slide. Water quality monitoring, laboratory testing, data documentation and reporting, regulatory compliance standards, public health and safety. We actually do have an intern right now helping us with this. I think we're trying to get a lab on site. And so we have a person who's in this doing this kind of testing, helping us on site doing this. And we have water quality technicians that help us do this. Next slide. Water conservation. We just put in a sustainability team on board with us. So we have them helping us with implementing water efficiency measures, public education and outreach, monitoring water usage, reporting and analysis. So we have right now a sustainability programs analyst. Water conservation is definitely a way of life, but more so water efficiency is a way of life for us. For these type of, whenever you see the word analyst, we probably will hire at a bachelor's level or above. But we do start interns while you're in school, whether it's community college or a bachelor's. We want people who are in school trying to get those internships, and that's kind of your gateway to some of these jobs. Next. On the administration side, so we have our customer service, our utility billing, and our administrative support, right? So these positions, they are probably at a high school diploma level and some college. Customer service staff, billing staff, management analysts. So again, anything with an analyst, you will have a bachelor's or master's even level. Billing and customer service, you will have high school or some community college level. It depends on how many interns we get, depends on what the need is and the current initiatives going on within the department. Normally, we tend to hire interns for the summer. Some may stay on for the whole year, depending on what we need on for that. Next. So I think this is where you need to go if you have more questions. The good news is that although I'm here making that pitch for water, we do hire for other departments as well if you're interested. And like I think another colleague mentioned, we do have job interest cards that you can put in if you're interested in outside of water. Put it in there, put it out in the universe. I suggest you do this for any agency that you're interested in to get to know what they are. Other tips that I would say is just like, if there's a job that you're really interested in, look for someone in that agency, go into LinkedIn and be like, hey, can you talk to me? Can you recommend me? Do something. If that is something that you're really into it, like be resourceful. Don't say, like see what you can do to get in there. Trust me, if you look me up and there's a job that you look, I would do whatever I could to just be like, hey, I heard that this person's looking into it, or if there's anything I could do to help you out, let me know. Even if it's just like saying, put me down as a reference or something so that you're not going in there without anything. Something's better than nothing. But I truly wish you so much luck and success in your career. And thank you for being here, because I know you're taking time out of your busy schedules to be here. So thank you so much on behalf of the City of Beverly Hills.
Hi, everybody. My name is Miguel Navarrete. I am a civil engineering assistant here with Glendale's Department of Water and Power. I'm actually in the water engineering sector. And without further ado, let's dive in. Can we go to the next slide, please? So for GWP, so most of our water, we actually imported in. We imported in by many different sources, but our main one would probably be with MWD. We had 30% of it from groundwater, 5% of it is actually from recycled water that we reclaim. So in short terms, we have about 35,000 service connections and more actually. We have about 33 local water and tank storages. We have over 406 miles of pipeline, both potable and recycled. We have 80,000 annual water tests that we do, and we do all this in-house, of course. And we also have we have millions of gallons of water storage capacity here in the city of Glendale. Next slide, please. So this is our general area, right? So we're just north of LA. We have a little map that I included here on the side. So Glendale Water and Power. So we are a utility company here for the actual city. We are about 200,000, just shy of that, of the people that we actually provide water for. We maintain, as I said a little bit earlier, over 406 miles of water mains, potable and recycled, 15 wells, 33 reservoirs and tanks, 2 treatment plants, 28 pump stations. We have multiple meters from residential to commercial, industrial, 75 gallons per day of residential usage. We have multiple full-time positions here at the city. We have apprentices included in that. We have interns, we have hourlies. I myself actually came in as an intern, which we refer here as an hourly, and I worked my way through, and I am now a full-time civil engineering assistant. But that's kind of the way it works here. You start off as an hourly, and then you just move forward, as my colleagues had mentioned before. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So this is a quick little GIS map of the area that we take care of. So there's a lot of stuff just cramped up. I wasn't able to get it a little bit bigger just because it's just so much of the city. But anything that's in blue would be potable, where everything that's in purple would be reclaimed water. So it's a lot that we service. It's just a lot of work that happens, and as Tanya mentioned, it's crazy. The people that are out there on the field, that are actually out there when water main breaks happen, they are quick responders. They're out there at 2 in the morning taking care of all that needs to be happening, so that all the residents of the city of Glendale are able to, move on with everyday life and just continue with their water usage. Yeah. Next slide, please. So this is our team. So here in GWP, we have a bit of a different distribution system that we have here in regards to water. So we start off with the water distribution. We have engineering, operations, and water quality. And the titles on the right-hand side are basically of what each division kind of entails of. So for water distribution, they would have a distribution system for construction and as well with maintenance. Engineering, we have project delivery, we have water service planning, system planning, capital improvement projects, operations, and in regarding to engineering and to strategy. Water operations, we have facility maintenances and operations in regards to the treatment plants that we have here. Water quality, this is a big one, as Tanya had mentioned earlier, I believe. We have a lot of recycled and potable water projects that we got going on. So this is a very big, very big section in GWP that we're working on currently with water quality in regards to environmental compliances and regulatory analysis. Next, please. And these are a little bit of the experience that is kind of required for each one of them. For water distribution, there's not exactly a requirement, but this is more of a desire, which is for the water distribution and treatment certificates, as some of my colleagues had mentioned earlier, which is the D1 to D5, and the T1, which is the treatment from 1 to level 5 as well. Engineering, a bachelor's degree in civil environmental engineering or a related field. In regards to operations, the same as I had mentioned earlier for water distribution. They would either be a distribution, either a level 1 to level 5, or a treatment from T1 to a T5. Water quality, for us, we're actually working on this sector a little bit more. So they're starting to up the scale on this one, and they're actually starting to go for people with interested in chemistry, biology, or environmental or related field with a degree, bachelor's degree in this one. But again, at this level, it's just more of this is the desired, but not exactly what's required, right? So every position will be different depending on which sector you're interested in. And if you go ahead and go to the City of Glendale's website, we have all our postings there. You'll be able to see exactly what each requirement for each one is. And within each sector, it has, of course, different job descriptions. Next, please. And this will be the QR code. You guys can go ahead and scan that. Not sure. Well, we actually just recently hired a whole bunch of people in regards to all sectors. So I believe we just closed up some job openings, but this is something that's consistently being posted. So I believe coming soon, I'm not sure exactly when, we'll have a lot more postings up there for any position that's for GWP in regards from quality to engineering to people out in the field, which is the distribution or operations or construction. So just keep an eye out on that one. There'll be a lot of postings up soon, so that I know. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you to all our presenters. I will go ahead and transition into the Q&A session. I know we already have some questions in the chat. So if you do have any additional questions for any of our presenters, you can go ahead and type them in the chat or unmute yourself and ask the question.
Can I answer the water distribution cert question? Because I think that one's a pretty good one. So I sent the link to the State Water Board, who's the one that manages those certs. And then you can see that the requirements, the eligibility requirements to get a D1 cert or a T1 cert, like the very beginning, is only a high school diploma. So what that's going to take is you applying to the State Water Board to get permission to take the test. And you basically go take a test, you pass it, and then you submit your paperwork to get the certification. There are fees associated with it. But anybody can get it with a high school diploma, basically. After that, once you're trying to get a D2 or a D3, it does require hands-on experience with the previous cert that you got. But to get your D1 and your T1 and to get into that certification, all you need is a high school diploma, and that link will show you through the State Water Board what they require. And I think after COVID, they made the test available at the learning, like the testing centers. So you can take it, I think, more frequent than it was offered before.
I saw a question come through from Nicole saying, how should one start if they're out of high school with no experience except taking classes? I can kind of speak on that from what I've seen at our district and some other districts and cities. But what you could do is you can look out for the postings that they have that include an OIT level, which means operator in training, which is typically a very entry-level position, typically requires a high school diploma, and usually taking courses is on the preferred side. So you actually set yourself up to meeting a preferred requirement when you take those courses. So if you look at an agency that has an OIT, operator in training, or a trainee opportunity, typically you'll meet the minimum qualifications for that. Or as we had some individuals who started as interns at their agency, is to keep an eye out for when postings come up for internships so that you can at least get some type of experience, volunteer opportunities or internships. But looking for OIT positions or trainee positions which come up can definitely be a way to get your foot in the door. I'll also let you know that here our customer service division is pretty entry level, usually requires a high school diploma and 1 year of some type of customer service experience. So that's something that's a little bit more accessible to individuals who are very early on in their career. Our field operations technician one is actually very similar, high school diploma, 1 year of some type of customer service experience, and taking courses or possessing a cert is a preferred, and you can kind of put yourself ahead a little bit by taking those courses. I hope that answers that question.
And then I can jump into the other questions. I think someone asked, do you hire engineering majors? So as you saw in a lot of the presentations, engineering is really huge in the water sector. There's, design team, and Joanna can really talk more into detail with her engineering background, but there's also engineering that is really used for infrastructure when it comes to the water sector, managing a lot of our construction projects. So definitely engineering majors are hired in the water sector. There was another question about CAD, what kind of work can be for CAD. We have surveyors and the water industry as well, and a lot of the surveyors use that type of technology when it comes to CAD. We actually do have a position that you can look into at our website at mwdh2o.com for Metropolitan, and there's this surveyor entry level to the surveyor position. But that's a really good skill to have if you have the knowledge and background with CAD. And then the other question was 1 in 5, what is the representation of women in the water sector? And really it's 1 in 5 women are represented in the water sector. So only 1 in 5. And that is really underrepresented in both technical and the managerial positions. So we really encourage, women to really look into this industry because again, as everyone presented here, there's such a variety and a diversity of positions. But I also don't want to fail in mentioning the trades. There's a lot of trades in the sector as well that also a lot of women can also have the opportunity to get involved in. And what I mean by the trades is, for example, for Metropolitan, we have the operations and maintenance technicians. And this could be someone that's welding, it can be in our HVAC, it can be plumbing, it can be electrical or mechanical technician. So there's also a lot of opportunities in that sector when it comes to the water industry, the trades. And those positions usually require a high school diploma or GED equivalency or some kind of training at a trade school for a lot of our introduction positions. So those are also great opportunities. In all of these positions, I just want to highlight that all my colleagues have talked about. As a young adult, I never thought about, a pension. I never thought about, the benefits of having good health care. And that is something that I want to make sure that I mention to our participants here, because you guys are young and you want to really look into an agency that's going to take care of you long-term and your family in the future. And a lot of these public agencies and water agencies provide good health care, provide a pension for you, and provide the opportunity for also tuition reimbursement for you to continue your education as you're already working with us. So just wanted to mention that.
May I just add just like a little tidbit too? And I don't want to sound like a mother here, but I do want to add something. For social media fans out there, I totally love social media. But for our young folks out there, I would just be a little bit careful of what we put out there. Whether or not, and it's legal or not, to look at social medias before anybody hires anybody, just know that it's out there. And as anybody who's going to be a future hire, would you want that future employer to know what you did last weekend, or any partying habits? Just kind of keep that in mind. I know, like, even in public safety, like if you decide maybe you want to be a cop or an officer, or fire safety, if you want to go into cybersecurity, anything like that, they look at things like that. So just keep that in mind in the back of your head. Like, just don't put anything crazy out there. It's okay to do fun stuff, but like, just keep that in the back of your mind. Be safe out there, but be resourceful, talk to people, network a lot. A lot of the people I talk to, the jobs are not necessarily like, yes, it's very competitive out there, but a lot of people, like, it's who you know sometimes, like who, like, try to, like, if there's a subject you're interested in, there's a lot of opportunities, because there's like a lot of what do I call it, like organizations, like there's an engineering network, there's there's all these different organizations, and they're free for students or very low cost to students. So if you're interested in some of these organizations, like there's the APWA for public works, or there's water, there's the AWWA for water. There's student membership. So if this is something you're interested, like, go towards them and see how those can, like, help you network and get yourself a mentor. I know it sounds a little old school, but those things work. And they could really help you get to those, help you guide you to those next steps. So I hope that helps.
Thank you, Tanya, for bringing that point up. That's very, very important. It's just the small things. And I think that's a nice segue to navigate to question number 2. To the questionnaire, I want to address this because I feel like it has not been asked, but I do think that it's very relevant. So I'm gonna ask it, and then any of the presenters feel free to jump in and ask. But the question is, when someone is applying for a job in the water industry and preparing their resume, what are the key elements they should emphasize or avoid? And the second fold to that question is, what aspects of a job posting should candidates pay particular attention to when tailoring their application? So I'm gonna put this question in the chat just so people can reference it, but please, the presenters dive in and answer this question.
I'm okay to go first. Sorry, Joanne, I saw you unmuted. Did you want to go?
No, I was gonna
Okay.
answer another question regarding the water technology program, but
Okay.
I can answer it after.
Okay, cool. So if we all don't mind, I can go ahead and take that. I think it was Brenda who mentioned minimum qualifications, and I would say when you're looking at an ad, you really want to look at that and make sure that if you have the minimum qualifications, you show that without question when you're submitting your application, right? So if it says 12 months of experience in something, you want to ensure that your application, when I look at it, I can actually count the 12 months that show that you meet the minimum qualifications. If it requires a bachelor's degree, do not leave that off of your application, because I cannot make the assumption that because you submitted your application that you possess it. You really want to show these, especially the minimum qualifications is what I'm talking about. You really want to show that you possess those in the application. And the other thing that I would talk about is that if you're reading through the day-to-day duties of this position, even though you may not have experience, like paid professional experience, please think about your schooling, projects that you've worked on, teams that you've been on. If you've been part of a sorority or something, highlight these things. It shows that you are able to collaborate. It shows that you're able to work on a project. If you've had a leadership role in a group project, you really want to highlight these things, because it's your opportunity to sell yourself. Okay. And so, obviously we're talking a lot about entry level things. So you really want to highlight a lot of skills that you're bringing that are transferable that you've used. As an entry level candidate, maybe you're not going to be the strongest on the technical side, but I can tell you from experience, and for sure, especially in our district, soft skills will get you very far. We love seeing initiative. We love seeing leadership skills. We love seeing people that can work in a group setting and collaborate. And so highlight these things. And if there isn't a clear place on the application to highlight that, make it work for you. Put the dates that you participated in some of these projects and things to be able to highlight them and show the person reviewing your application what you're bringing to the table.
And I just want to add on to that. This is Brenda with Metropolitan. You also, when you're looking at a job posting, make sure that you're reading the job posting. We have a lot of applicants who are adults who just apply to apply and not really looking at the job posting and what the position entails. So take the time to really print out the job posting, have your resume, and put it side by side and kind of do like a cross check and kind of take a look, because sometimes maybe you volunteered before or done some internship before, and it entails some skills and knowledge that my colleague just talked about, but you maybe just forgot about it. But as you're going through the job posting and your resume, it starts kind of jotting your memory, and you're like, oh, you know what, I have done that. I have done, some management in a project, or, manage a group setting, or, done some kind of work that is relatable to what the position is looking for when it comes to those, soft skills or people skills. So really take the time to print out that position you're interested in, read the summary. The summary is going to tell you right away what the position is about. And then it's going to go into those skills, knowledge, and abilities that you can kind of cross-reference and highlight what it is that you've done, if it's in college or, in high school, that is relatable to those type of transferable skills.
I'll
So
answer the getting
go
into
ahead.
the water industry with a T2 or a T1, I think. Yeah, so somebody said once you get a D1, T1 and you don't have experience, will they give you a chance? And then somebody's finishing up their technology program and studying for their T2. So I think the best way, depending on like what your bachelor's is in, if you haven't like an engineering or studying to be an engineer and getting a T2, then an internship in engineering would be the right way to step into the field. But if you have your high school diploma and your certs, then Metropolitan also has an apprentice program. And I put the link on there. So basically, the apprenticeship is a way to learn about Metropolitan and what those technicians do. They teach you everything from beginning to end. And at the end of this apprentice program, they do offer you a position at Metropolitan, but it is a 4-year program. So you can look at that PDF that I attached. So there's a lot of routes to get into the water industry, just depending on what you're studying and what you kind of want to start with. And, you never know where you'll end up. But these are some of the ways with what you guys are currently posting that you have.
Thank you, Joanna. Bridget,
I'll add on real
go
quick to um what we've been kind of talking about. So one thing I would say is definitely volunteer or look into any type of internship that you could do while you're in college. Um, even just simple volunteer work just to get the feel for the location in regards to the environment that you're in when you're in water. For an example, for me, I actually started in water because I came from the warehouse. I used to work for the Glendale Water and Power warehouse, where I met a lot with the people that were out in the field and with the engineers. I was kind of a bit of the middle ground. So they actually asked me if I was interested. And again, this was just out of high school for me. I was at a very young age. They asked me if I was interested in just going into water. Without even thinking about it, I just said yes because I actually knew what the pieces were, right? What the material were that goes involved into these projects. So they brought me up here, and the main thing that I realized that they needed here was someone that was eager to learn, very eager to learn, and that gets along well with your coworkers because that goes a long way. If you're a team player, that goes extremely, extremely far. Here in GWP, for me, my coworkers are my family. I see them more than my own family. And any question that I have, um, I know that someone here will have the answer. And it's just that environment feel that I liked a lot. The water aspect of it, you learn as you go. They teach you as you go. Um, but you have to have that desire and that willingness um, to adapt, to learn, and just like I believe one of my colleagues said, the soft skills, they go very, very, very far. But definitely intern, get the feel for the environment, get the feel for the field. Um, it'll, it'll It'll help a lot. Mhm.
Can I chime
I
in
see,
really quick? Oh,
sorry, I see
oh no, I
Suzanne has a
was
question, but go ahead, Monica.
Oh, I just wanted to emphasize, what everyone else has been saying. If it's something that you're really interested in, reach out to someone in the hydrogeology department or an engineer. A lot of the times they will allow you to shadow them for a day because we have had students, high school students there was this high school student a few years back that got this scholarship to go to this really great college, but I believe as a hydrogeologist, and he was just like, I don't know if that's what I want to do. So he contacted us and we connected him with one of our hydrogeologists. And what happened is that he didn't like to go outside. Hydrogeologists go and test water and sample water, and then 50% of their time is outdoors and 50% of their time is indoor writing reports. And he was like, this is not what I want to do. I want to be in an office. So, a lot of the times, yes, they do get busy, but they will make time to answer your questions if you have any. And if you're really serious about, pursuing a career in the water industry, it's just something that you can do.
And then Bridget, can answer some of the questions, but I don't know if you said someone had their hand up. I don't know if you want to.
I saw Susan had a question in regards to senior level professionals.
Oh, okay. I
Um,
was going to answer that.
okay,
So
perfect.
there's a few questions that I saw, do we use AI for resumes? I can't speak for the rest of my colleagues, but for Metropolitan, we don't use AI. We do screen the resumes. We make sure that you do submit an application. You do have to submit an application along with your resume. So we do have recruiters who actually screen that information. When it comes to age, all of our positions, the minimum requirement to apply for the position for Metropolitan is 18 years of age. For some, right now for our internship opportunities that we do have, you do have to be a student in a 4-year college. However, these are opportunities if you're thinking about transferring to a 4-year college to think about in the future. As Johanna mentioned, there's the apprenticeship program that you only have to be 18 years of age. That comes out every 1.5 years or so. We just posted it twice this past year for our inner locations, and then we also have desert location opportunities for that apprenticeship program. We are also looking at Metropolitan to expand our internship programs that provide more opportunities to students who are in the community college level or just right out of high school, not sure what direction they want to go to. So just, look out for that. That's something that Metropolitan is looking into expanding on those programs. And when it comes to senior level professionals, yes, I mean, the water operator positions are just a few of the positions, or some of the positions rather, that the water industry has. But there's a huge diversity of positions that we need when it comes to the diversity in this field in the industry. So we need people in human resources, we need people in finance, we need people that have background in project management and administration. So there's a lot of different positions, just not the water operators that we've been kind of talking about with the certifications. There's a whole lot of other positions, and you can take a look at our website where you can see the diversity of the positions that I'm sure my colleagues have as well. And we're also looking into creating an app that's going to include our member agencies where they can also post their link, and you can easily, register and get updates about all the positions we have in the water industry. And then it will link them to our member agencies as well, so they can also provide their opportunities. So, and that's why I think this is important. I just want to emphasize that we're here today with all of the water agencies involved because there's so much opportunities in the industry as a whole. And we want to make sure that you're aware of those opportunities and what that looks like. So thank you again for your time and the questions here.
Can I chime in to answer some questions I saw, please? I'm going to answer this in like a indirect manner, but I saw someone ask about posting ghost jobs or if we are posting what we hire immediately. One thing I want to touch on is pretty much all of the agencies here. We are public agencies, and there's some high regulation about posting jobs and holding recruitments. And so if a job is posted, it's because it's available and it's collecting applications to be considered for an opening. But I want to explain a part of the process that you should be aware of, I think, and you can also use strategically to your advantage. But sometimes you'll see a posting come up and it'll have clarification language, like we currently have one opening in blank division. Or sometimes it will say, this is open to generate an eligibility list for future openings that we may have. Okay. And so what typically happens in public agency is as the recruitment's conducted, they gather applications, perhaps they hold a first round of interviews, or perhaps they have an assessment testing that you have to take first. Whatever the means are, typically what's generated is called an eligibility list. And this is a list of the candidates that have shown they meet minimum qualifications and they've met passing in the assessment testing, or they've met passing during the first round of interviews. And it's a list of candidates that then the hiring supervisor can go to in order to bring them back for more consideration or make a selection. A lot of the times, these eligibility lists are live for 6 months, sometimes up to a year for an agency, right? So maybe really think about what you can do right now, what you hope for the future. And it's happened to me that I've been placed on an eligibility list and I wasn't selected for the position initially. The candidate they did select declined or fell out, I was the next on the list and I got the offer and I accepted. So taking advantage of these opportunities to apply, to interview, to get your name on an eligibility list kind of primes you for the ability. Maybe if it didn't happen for you right now, maybe it could happen in the 6 months that eligibility list is live. Maybe it could happen in the year that the eligibility list is live. So it kind of is, I guess, to put it on theme, it's a trickle down, I guess you could say, that getting your name on the eligibility list, interviewing, becoming better at interviewing and all of that, these are things that you can use strategically to really prime yourself to be a great candidate for a position. And maybe if you can't accept a position now, or you're not the first selected candidate, that does not mean that there isn't something that could happen for you in the future if another opening comes up. So I hope that helps give some more information.
I'm looking through the chat to see. I feel like we've addressed, for the most part, everyone's questions. So thank you to the presenters for keeping up with all of these questions. I think there's a few information being shared. So thank you.
I think I'm sorry, Bridget, but I think there
It's
might have been a question about age playing a factor. Was that addressed already?
Yes, so I talked about how most of our positions, minimum requirement is 18 years of age. You know, separate from possible internship programs that other agencies have here that may require like a school permit for those programs that can be for internships for high school students. But there is no, after 18 years of age, there's no limitation. If you meet the minimum requirements and have the skills, you're more than welcome to apply for the positions.
Thank you. Yeah,
And just
thank you
as a
for all
little
the-
motivation for someone who asked that question, never, ever, ever let your age hinder you or double think that that is going to be something that's going to deter you from getting a job. I've seen a plethora of individuals that are in their 70s applying for jobs and have landed them. So you're on time. If it's meant for you, it's going to be for you, and age won't be a factor at all. So stay encouraged, especially with the career shift. Really, really stay encouraged, but don't let the age bother you.
I can take the pay question unless somebody wanted to jump in from another agency. I've talked a lot, I think.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So Anthony, some of my answer is going to be to our district specifically, and then some of my answer may apply to the other organizations here. But for us, typically, when we're making a job offer, if someone meets the minimum qualifications and only the minimum qualifications, the offer is going to be at the starting pay of the scale, whether typically if it's an hourly position here, it's a step based, or if it's a salaried position, it's a pay scale, but it'll be at the start if someone's coming in only meeting the minimum qualifications. If someone has above the minimum qualifications, there can be the opportunity upon the initial offer to negotiate higher pay. We have obviously like a pay policy where a certain number of years can get you this type of increase, things like that. So there is that opportunity. We typically require someone to substantiate it, if that makes sense, where you kind of present to us what you hold above and beyond our MQs to negotiate a higher pay. Once someone has started with our agency, we do have a structured increase policy, and that's kind of what I've observed and experienced in my other positions at other public agencies, is that here we do a 6-month increase with a acceptable evaluation, and then annually thereafter that. Other agencies maybe just hit it on the annual basis. But there typically is, again, a pay policy where either maybe you get a step increase at every satisfactory evaluation, or if, like I said, if it's a salaried position, it's usually a percentage. And yes, so for us, as you move along and you get your annual evaluations, you get increases until you hit the top of the range of whatever position you're in. And then hopefully this happens for all of you, but as you promote, there's also based on a pay policy, what promotion kind of increase you get at that time as well.
Thank you for showing. This is along the same
And
lines
yes,
too.
COLA too.
Oh, there you go. I was going to talk about the COLA. Yeah, so along the same lines, Metropolitan is the same process when it comes to pay and reviews and based on a set schedule for increments, but we also do have a cost of living. Well, all of our positions are union positions, so there's a negotiated cost of living. So depending on the position that you apply for in the union that goes under that, most of them, I believe right now, are negotiated at 4%. So you get a review and also your cost of living increase. So that's also a great part.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this is something that I didn't hear talked about, but is kind of an interesting aspect of public agency. But sometimes with public agency, there are internal only postings. So that's why it's really beneficial to kind of get your foot in the door, start gaining experience, and then you can kind of see what may open up to you or what triggers your interest, because a lot of times they will do internal postings only or internal candidates considered only, and you really get a great shot at being able to be considered for an opportunity where maybe if you were coming from an external candidate perspective, you wouldn't necessarily get the same opportunity to apply for that. So it is possible to have like internal recruitments where they're accepting from current employees who want to promote or maybe transfer to a different division to learn something else. So there's definitely that opportunity as well once you do get your foot in the door.
Can I add on to that real quick, as they were talking about, in regards to promotional, which means basically hiring from within. There's also a lot of programs out there that the city offers. For example, for us, the city of Glendale, we have a youth program. It's called Glendale Youth Alliance, and it's a way of getting your foot in the door. It's your way of understanding how the city works and just being able to branch out to what interests you, right? Um, but it gives you the luxury of being able to apply for internal positions where that you know that that's a it's a really big it's a really big key when it comes to trying to get into the field you're interested in, because if a posting opens up, even though the posting you're able to meet the requirements, but maybe you don't get the position, you still stay on the list. For us here, you stay on the list for about 2 years. I'm not sure about the other agencies, and that list is good for 2 years. So if something happens within those 2 years and someone else leaves, you would be next in line. So that it is a luxury of just getting into um, youth programs, because it gives you that way in for promotional opportunities, where if you're if you're doing a promotional one, you're probably only going up against let's say another three, maybe two people, whereas if it was open, you're up against hundreds, sometimes I don't even know, right? A huge number. So those are some things to look into, a youth program. We have one here for the city of Glendale. It's called Glendale Youth Alliance. You can go ahead and look into that one. For I'm sure the other departments, not just departments, but just all the other cities have them as well.
I know we're running out of time, but can I add one more thing? If we don't mind. Okay. And this is a little bit further along, but I just want to point out some things that I've observed that have kind of held candidates back from being considered. And this is actually at the interviewing stage, once you get to attend an interview. I find that candidates who usually do the best have done the best at really quantifying what they're trying to convey to the interviewers. So sometimes we'll ask questions like, have you taken calls as part of your customer service position? And someone will say yes. And I guess technically that is a yes or no question, and yes is a correct answer. But the candidates that typically do the best usually have an answer that's something like, yes, I have. I've taken a high volume of calls, and that could be any number of 50 to 100 per day. And I had to transfer them to external departments. Sometimes I would have to take a message, things like that. You really want to elaborate your answer to show you have an understanding of the question, to quantify really what you're presenting, because those like solid quantifiable information really helps drive home that you have the knowledge, you're analytical, you're understanding what we're asking, and you're understanding how much you have done is critical, and you're bringing that knowledge and experience with you. So if you can, please think about the questions that are asked of you and give some really concrete examples with quantified data, and that's certainly very helpful to push you further along during the interview period.
Thank you for that. I just want to add one thing to that too. There's an approach that maybe many of you already have heard when it comes to interviewing, because when you do interviews with us, it's either going to be virtually. Maybe some departments would prefer in person, and it may be more than one interview, maybe 2 interviews, maybe up to 3. So it's really good to practice and like prepare for the interviews. But there's an approach called the STAR approach. Like each thing is, each letter means something. So the situation, task, the action, the result. And that is something when I talked about pulling that job description and having your resume side by side, is the questions that we're going to ask have to be related to the position. So reviewing the actual application or the job posting rather is really going to help you kind of think about what type of questions you might get, and start thinking about examples, right, that are related to that position. When you can provide an answer that is tied to an example, if there was a situation, how did you resolve that situation and what was the action you took, that it also kind of helps you phrase your answers when you're going to do the interview. So just a tip on that is looking up that STAR approach that I used to recommend back in the day, but I think a lot of young adults really don't think about how to prepare for an interview, but that's a way that it can assist you with preparing.
Okay, thank you all to all our audience members for the great questions, and thank you to our presenters for taking the time to present on your wonderful opportunities and also writing all the great tips. I hope this was a beneficial opportunity for everyone. So this definitely concludes our session. Before everyone leaves, I'd like to take the time to share our poll just so we can gauge what everyone thought of this opportunity and how we can improve for future events, or if they'd like to have more events like this in the future. So the poll should be coming up very shortly. If you can just take a few moments to complete it. And then we will go ahead and share the slides after the end of the session, and contact information for these agencies if you do have follow-up questions.
Can everyone see the poll?
Yes, I can see it popped up.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, while everyone's completing the poll, I'll go ahead and share LARC's website and calendar of events. If you'd like to keep in touch and keep updated on any future events, feel free to scan the QR code or go on our website and join our social media pages that are listed on our website as well. We do share out events and information on a regular basis. And then if you do have any questions for us, feel free to email us or get in touch with us via social media as well. And we'll be happy to support you in any way. I hope you found this beneficial session helpful and hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of these opportunities. Thanks again to our presenters and thank you all for participating. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you,
Thanks to our
everyone.
member agencies.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.